of the glass. Well, tomorrow night over at Avon Acres, which again is the beautiful facility, which is right behind Central Barbecue's Summer Avenue location. It is a fantastic facility that they opened up. I think they opened up last year. And tomorrow night, it will be hosting the Memphis East Arkansas Razorback Club Spring Hog Call Banquet. And the guest of honor there speaking and talking with the fans will be the new basketball coach over at Arkansas. And he is Coach Eric Musselman, who, of course, has some ties to Memphis from his days here as a Grizzlies assistant coach. And Coach Musselman joins me now on the program. Coach, how are you, sir? Good to talk to you again.
I'm doing great, Eli. Thanks so much for having me on.
It's great to talk to you. Miss those days back when you were here as an assistant with the Grizzlies, but I know you got to be excited to get back into this part of the country and be the head coach at Arkansas.
No, we're ecstatic as a family and feel like it's an incredible opportunity. And we're just now trying to finalize our coaching staff, and we got our players coming back here Monday night for a team meeting, and we start our 8-week on the court summer program, 10 weeks of summer school. Out of the 10 weeks, we're able to work with our guys 8 of those 10, and can't wait to get back out on the floor with our players.
Well, I mentioned you'll be in town tomorrow night, the East Arkansas Razorback Club meeting that's going to be going on here at Avon Acres. I know I said you've got some ties to this city. You love the people of this city, and get a chance to come over here and talk to the Hog fans over in this area has got to have you excited.
No, it really does. I loved my time with the Grizzlies and working for Coach Fratello, and obviously at the time Jerry West was the general manager, and Tom Penn was in the front office. A lot of really, really lifetime friends and people that I was able to learn a lot from, and the guys on the floor. We had an incredible roster, guys like Mike Miller and Pau Gasol and Jason Williams. It was a really, really fun group to be a part of, and I love living on Mud Island as well, and can't wait to get back to Memphis tomorrow night.
For more details, folks, on the event tomorrow night, you can go to the website mearc.com. That's mearc.com. It's $35 for adults, $20 for kids 13 and under. And again, it's over at Avon Acres, which is behind the Central Barbecue location on Summer Avenue. And you can hear Coach Musselman speak and get a chance to meet him and talk to him over there. So going back, you had the great run here over the last 4 years at Nevada, had the Sweet 16 run a couple of years ago. The opportunity, though, to go to a Power 5 school with the tradition of Arkansas, was that an easy decision?
Yeah, it really was. From the moment our athletic director called, my wife, myself, my 2 sons, my daughter, we were overly excited. I think, Eli, you hit on some of the stuff. Obviously, Power 5, tradition, facilities, great academic institution. But with an NBA job, it's really your owner and your general manager determines your success. And at the collegiate level, it's your president or chancellor and the athletic director. Those things have so much impact, and who I'm working for excites me as much as anything. And but certainly the tradition, the number of pros that Arkansas has produced, the great coaching tree of Nolan Richardson and Eddie Sutton and Mike Anderson. There's been so many great coaches here, so many great players, and a lot of winning here. So it excites us. We had some other opportunities over the 4-year time frame that I was at Nevada, and we really enjoyed our time in Northern Nevada, but we felt like this is one of the best jobs in the entire country, and certainly couldn't be any more excited.
What do you think it will take for you? Because Arkansas, as you go back to the Nolan Richardson days and a national championship and a runner-up back-to-back. Here in recent times, while there have been some NCAA tournament appearances, hasn't been a Sweet 16 in quite some time. What will it take to get Arkansas basketball back to where those fans, which are dedicated fans that love that program, where they want it to be?
I mean, I think it's one of the things that I kind of touched on is just an alignment with your whole department and understanding exactly what it takes. And and we have an administration that wants to win. We want to do it the right way. And I think when you have facilities, when you have all these things lined up, a fan base like we do that is really statewide with a national brand as well, it takes a little bit of time, obviously. And the great thing here is as time has gone on, they've improved. So, like the practice facility is so great. The weight room is so great. There's other historic programs like UCLA, UNLV, and those programs as well are trying to get to where they were in the past. And you've kind of got to move out of the past as well to some degree with upgrades and facilities and so forth. And they've certainly done that here at Arkansas.
You take over a pretty good roster. They were a very young team last year, so a lot of guys back. You've also picked up a couple of graduate transfers. So how do you see this roster for you that you'll have for year number one?
Well, Eli, you're right. Coach Anderson and his staff brought in a lot of young players. They developed them. A lot of guys had good freshman or sophomore years. And obviously, when you look at the nucleus of the team, Isaiah Joe, one of the best three-point shooters as a freshman in the SEC, and we've added a grad transfer in Isaiah Moss, who's a 3-year starter from Iowa, who's at that 6'5", 6'6" range, which is the exact size of Isaiah Joe. And then Mason Jones had a really, really good year as well, another player 6'5" to 6'6". So our Nevada teams were kind of built off multi-dimensional guys that could play multiple positions, could shoot the three ball. And with Isaiah Joe, Isaiah Moss, and Mason Jones, we have three guys that we're going to be able to create some mismatches. We're not real big. We're a team that still lacks size inside at that 4 and 5 spot, so we might play small at times. And we have a really good point guard, Jalen Harris, who's got great speed. Desi Sills is a guy who can really shoot the ball and can play the 1 or the 2. So a lot of pieces, but still a lot of work to do as well from a player development standpoint this summer. And then you're always trying to upgrade your roster for future years as well.
Talking with the head basketball coach at the University of Arkansas, Eric Musselman. Again, he'll be in town tomorrow night speaking to Arkansas fans over at Avon Acres. You mentioned no size up front. Not for this year, but you did add a little size for the following year as a guy who the University of Memphis once recruited and at one point was committed here. But Connor Vanover, you pick up as a transfer from Cal. He'll have to sit out, but he'll certainly bring you some size in a couple of years.
There's no doubt. Connor at 7'3" is one of the most unique players in all of college basketball because of his size. He's an excellent 3-point shooter, which you don't usually see in guys that are over 7 foot. He's going to be a rim protector defensively for us, and in time he's going to continue to get stronger and gain weight. But you're talking about a player coming off of his freshman year this year that was very, very successful at Cal, especially late in the season. He continued to grow. And actually, when Cal played its best basketball of the season was at the end of the year when Connor was on the floor for substantial minutes for the Bears.
Talking with, again, Coach Musselman. You mentioned that, 6'5" guys and creating mismatches. It seems like that's a lot of the thing now. Is this the trickle-down effect of the Golden State Warriors and that everybody now looks for these 6'5", 6'6", 6'7" athletes, really not necessarily by position, but you just want to get them all on the floor. They're all interchangeable. You can change, you can switch defensively without worries and then create mismatches on the offensive end.
I mean, I think that's where the game is going right now, but I also think it's because of lack of size, and I don't think if Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or Lou Alcindor was in the college game right now in his prime, I don't think they would have him on the bench to play a 6'6" guy, or if Wilt Chamberlain was playing at Kansas right now, I don't think that the coach Self would be playing small ball. So I think it's just, hey, look, right now there's no Tim Duncan, there's no David Robinson. And so therefore a lot of teams, rather than elect in 20 years ago when my dad was coaching in the NBA, every team had 2 bruising, physical
Mm-hmm.
7-footers that would come in and they would use their fouls up and they would be screen setters and eat space. And I think those players are now dinosaurs. They're just not around.
Yeah.
And you're looking at guys that are 6'6", that can do things with the basketball, pass, dribble, and shoot. And certainly, Eli, this thought process was really developed through everybody studying the Warriors, and we've actually gone to the Golden State Warriors training camp the last 3 straight years and picked up a lot of things that they've done. But you got to be careful too. If you just have a bunch of 6'6" guys, they still have to fit. The pieces to the puzzle have to fit perfectly. You've got to have guys that can shoot the ball as well. So I do think that there's a rhyme and reason to how you do it as well.
And so along that line, I would assume that, especially here at first, you're going to bring the style you played at Nevada. You want to play that kind of pace and space style?
We would like to. It takes time, though. I mean, the first year at Nevada, we were a really physical defensive team that got to the foul line a lot. The way we scored points was off free throws attempted. And then in year 2, we got a little bit better from the 3-point land. Year 3, we were phenomenal, and we were when you have that 3 ball, it allows you to never be out of a game, and I think the Warriors are a great example. They were down by 15 points in 3 of the 4 games against Portland in this last series, and they were able to come back. And the reason they were able to come back was really when they start spraying 2 or 3 balls in a row and get in a rhythm. It's really, really hard to stop it. It's a unique way to play, but you can also get down by 15 points very quickly as well. So you can shoot yourself in a game and shoot yourself out of a game. But we certainly would like to play the cosmetically pleasing style that we eventually had at Nevada.
Talking with Arkansas head basketball coach Eric Musselman. You can follow him on Twitter at Eric P. Musselman. So you have coached, obviously you grew up, your dad's a coach, and you have been a head coach, I think, at just about every level of basketball there is, from the NBA to the USBL and the CBA to the G League to college. All of that experience, how has that kind of evolved you as a head coach?
Well, I think, first of all, I think that whoever you work for, you pick up things. And so obviously, some of the people that I've worked for, I got to spend the whole summer with Hubie Brown coaching an all-star team that was over in Europe and played in a huge tournament in Limoges, France. I worked obviously with the Grizzlies with Coach Mike Fratello, and worked for Coach Chuck Daly in Orlando and Doc Rivers in Orlando, and have worked for Lon Kruger with the Atlanta Hawks, and worked alongside Tom Thibodeau with the Timberwolves while we both worked under my father. And then as an NBA head coach, had assistant coaches, David Fizdale at the time, who's now the Knicks head coach. Scotty Brooks was an assistant for us in Sacramento. He's now the head coach of Washington in the NBA. So been around so many great people that you just pick up little things that you want to do when you get your own program, and had such an incredible opportunity at a young age, Eli, to coach in the minor leagues, be a head coach and learn on the job without having a lot of media scrutiny that you would have at the collegiate level or the NBA level. And I do think that each experience, shapes you and molds you. And the time I spent, coaching in Venezuela and Dominican, coaching their national teams, when half the players on the roster did not speak English, it taught me to be a better demonstrator and slow down in my delivery when I was communicating with the teams in huddles. And then the pressure when you're representing a national team, the stage that you have to coach under and the microscope you're coaching under, and the media when you're dealing with representing an entire country in Olympic-type settings, prepares you as well from a media standpoint. So I feel really fortunate, really lucky to have experienced all this stuff at a relatively young age.
How much have you talked to Nolan Richardson and some of those former great players from Arkansas that you referred to earlier that won those national championships and have kind of built this program?
Yeah, I was able to talk to Coach Richardson the day before the press conference. The first night I actually got into Fayetteville, and we had a phenomenal conversation. And then it's been so interesting, the greats that have already come. We've only had 7 practices prior to the guys jumping into their final exams and then taking a little break once the semester ended. But in those practices, we had Ron Brewer, a senior who played in the NBA for a long time and actually played for my father with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Ron Brewer Jr., who had a nice NBA career. Sidney Moncrief, who's a Hall of Famer. Corey Beck still lives here in Fayetteville, and we talk probably 2 to 3 times a week. Kareem Reed came to a practice. Dusty Hanna, who played for the Memphis Grizzlies, he's in our practice gym almost every day. So it's just been so cool and so neat to see some of these all-time greats come back. Darrell Walker, who played in the NBA and was an NBA head coach, came to a practice a few weeks ago. So really, really cool to have all these guys come in and watch the current players. And then the phone calls, whether it be Oliver Miller or Corliss Williamson, just been really cool to be a part of such great tradition.
You mentioned Dusty Hanna's, and one of my favorite guys. I've had to call his games in the G League the last 2 years with the Hustle, and he's one of the great guys. I really love him. It's funny, you mentioned Sidney Moncrief. So do you have to, the players you're coaching today, do they have any clue who Sidney Moncrief even is?
Probably not. We tried to educate him before Sidney talked, but I actually, told our staff when we got back, I said, we probably should have shown some highlights, and they would have been blown away to see what a great defender and what an incredible player and scorer he was, because he was an all-star for so many years. And I think with today's younger players, you do have to educate them. When I grew up, it was collecting, basketball cards, and I knew the history of the game just by, the way that, listening to games on the radio instead of playing video games. And so I do think there's an education process for when you're talking about history stuff with some of the younger players.
You've made 2 coaching hires with Chris Crutchfield and Corey Williams. You've got 1 spot left to fill. What made those guys the right fit, and what are you looking for in that final assistant coaching spot?
Well, I think first of all with Corey Williams, it was, I wanted a guy that had been a head coach at the collegiate level. He checked that box because he was the head coach at Stetson. Then I wanted somebody who was a former NBA player. Corey checked that box, having played for the Chicago Bulls and been an NBA draft pick and played alongside Michael Jordan. And then we needed, for sure, to have 2 coaches that had recruited at the Power 5 level. And certainly Corey Williams had done that, having been an assistant coach at Florida State. And then in the second, hire, we wanted a guy that had been a Power 5, recruiter, and had recruited at a high level and had been a proven recruiter with star players. And obviously Coach Chris Crutchfield fills that void. He's a phenomenal X&O coach, and he's a coach that's knocking on the door to get a head coach too at the collegiate level. And will get an opportunity, and he'll be a very successful head coach as well when he gets his opportunity. So those are the 2 guys right now we have on staff, and we've kind of taken a unique approach. I've actually called several of our players to ask them their opinion on what they would like as we have 1 more hire. And I have talked to several former NBA coaches, and I've also talked to several coaches that have coached at the collegiate level. So we're hopefully going to make a decision before this week is out, and we'll complete our staff. We have our players coming back on Monday, and they start school Tuesday, and then we start our summer program.
He is Eric Musselman, head coach of the University of Arkansas. Again, tomorrow night, the Memphis East Arkansas Razorback Club Spring Hog Call Banquet at Avon Acres on Summer Avenue, right behind the Central Barbecue there. MEARC.com is the website to get more information. $35 for adults, $20 for kids 13 and under. Coach will be there speaking and talking with the fans as well. Certainly should be a fun night here in Memphis with all the Arkansas fans. I know there's a lot of excitement around the hiring of Coach Musselman and that program going forward. Coach, always great to talk to you, man. Good to catch up with you. And we look forward to doing it more down the road here as you continue at Arkansas.
Thanks so much. Appreciate you having me on, Eli.
Thank you. That's Coach Eric Musselman. Again, you can follow him on Twitter at Eric P. Musselman. And it's funny, when you look at him, he looks so young still, but then you look at his career. Dude has coached, I'm telling you, everywhere, at every level. CBA, USBL, G League, NBA head coach twice. He's coached at the college level, both assistant and head coach. I mean, he's coached internationally in China, the Dominican, Venezuela. He has been all over the place, and of course grew up in a basketball family with his dad being an NBA head coach. So he knows the game of basketball, and I think he will be successful at Arkansas, and he's a great guy as well. 10:45 the time. We'll take a break. We'll come back, wrap up hour number one. Coming up in hour number two, Lane Whitaker going to join me. We'll talk a little Grizz gaming and some playoffs with him. Hour number three, Jason Wexler, president of the Grizzlies, will join me. We'll also have our four-man scramble coming up, so still plenty to get to, and dinner and a movie also on today's docket. So stay tuned. Sports 56 middays on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 at 87.7 FM.
Take Sports 56 with you on your phone or tablet. Download our official Sports 56 app today.
Get your gun, Nelly, and saddle up